In this Creator Series interview, I'm chatting to a music creator from right here in Australia about how he makes a living from his music. Please welcome to Studio Live today, Clinton Hutton. How are you doing today, mate?
Hello, Pete. G'day, viewers.
It's great to have you here. It's great to chat to you and to learn a little bit about your background, your music creation. And what I start with every time to get to break the ice, to help people know a little bit more about you is what is your music origin story? This is your opportunity, your time to shine. Tell us
My
a
time
little
to
bit
shine?
about your time to shine.
Okay.
Absolutely, mate.
I'll try and condense it really quick.
What got you into music?
So I guess I had two older brothers and sisters growing up in the 80s. So I'm an 80s tragic, and
Love it.
they were like 4 and 5 years older than me. And they used to always, I just remember Whispering Jack coming out like John Farnham. Then I just remember all the Money for Nothing. I used to think that is so cool, like seeing the MTV thing. And that I was like, I used to always get the tennis racket out and play in front of the mirror and thinking, this would be cool. But I actually had no musical bone, I didn't think, in my body. And then it wasn't until I got to about high school that my friends started going to the music room. They were playing these like guitar pretty good. I'm like, wow, these guys are playing. I'm going, what are they playing? They're like, it's Metallica. And I'm like, Metallica? Oh. And it's AC/DC. I said, well, I knew AC/DC and I knew Bon, but I used to think heavy metal was Bon Jovi, and and I do remember Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood coming out in '89, and that was like, oh, that was awesome. But it wasn't until a friend of mine started introducing me to a tape called Ride the Lightning, and I'd never heard anything like it from Metallica, and that was like, this is amazing. And then the Black Album came out, and then I was like, right, that's it, I'm hooked. And then I picked up pretty quickly particularly guitar and that, and just got an interest for music, and it just spread from there. And then before I knew it, I was listening to Simon Garfunkel, and then I was off to back to Sepultura, and then I was like off to some other strange the Eagles for a bit, and Crowd. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, not to be a spoiler, mate, but like listening to that and hearing that you're into metal, and then listening to the stuff you're producing and the sort of music that you're playing. And I guess I'm one to talk because I was a big Nirvana and grunge head as well back in the 90s, and now I play like folksy, rocky stuff. But what's the connection there? So what's the is that two different parts of you? Is there connection, do you think, between the metal and the hard rock, and then doing more of the acoustic stuff?
I don't know. There has to be, because that sort of, like, I'm pretty sure anybody can say, and you get like your parents' age and that people that grew up in the 60s and 70s always talk about the Beatles or they go on about the Eagles, because obviously they were young at the time, and they'll never let go of it. It's part of your youth, I think. It's part of your foundation. So I can never ever let go of like, I just remember like trying to play For Whom the Bell Tolls, and it was like I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this on acoustic. And then it just went from there, and there it just went on. But I don't think there's any real science behind it. It's just where you are at the time, particularly when you're young. And,
absolutely young and impressionable. So what was the transition then into actually creating your own music, into starting to perform and to do the sort of things that you're doing today? Maybe let folks know a little bit about the sort of music, because obviously this interview is all about making a living with music. So maybe let us know what you're doing now and what the sort of transition point was creating music.
Well, I guess so it was probably in the early or mid 90s, around about 93, 94, and I was still in high school bands. And that's when I started to first experience playing live, and it was just addictive straight away. Just addictive. And even just getting like $20 for gigs, like, oh, brilliant, $20. $20, geez, we can buy a carton of beer, let's go. And so that was some of the stuff. But then as it progressed and got into the mid 90s, I really started, or later 90s, I was with a group of guys that we were really inspired to write music, and we had just 4-track, simple tape 4-track, and we just record our jams, and then we'd burn them down and listen to them. It was like, and it was a great way of getting inspired that way. And then we actually did an album in 98 on a reel-to-reel tape machine.
Oh wow!
And it was just all our own stuff, and we only made like something like 400 copies, but in our little section of Tassie where I'm from, it was really popular at the time. It was kind of that kind of metally, I don't know how to describe it. I'd say, yeah, sort of more classic metal. But that was when I really got the taste for it and thought, oh, hang on, you can actually do all right out of this. But then I got married and we got kids and I played football and sport, and music just was a backseat for a while. And then it wasn't, and it was the early 2000s, and I started playing live again, solo, acoustic. And this is where the whole acoustic thing come into it. And because I didn't have a band anymore and I needed to make some money. So covers became the thing. And I guess that's when I really started progressing as a musician, because I started to learn all these other styles, and then you start putting that styles into your own music. And before I knew it, I was just like you, but you know, we're not doing Nirvana, and we're starting to do some folky stuff. We're starting to do funk and country, and it just went from there. So, in a nutshell, it was in the last 15 years, I've been, predominantly just playing a lot, and it just kept going and going and going. And so, yeah.
And it was that playing a lot that kind of put you on my radar, because obviously I do a lot with other musicians and putting sort of content out there, and I'm sort of just scrolling through Instagram one day and I'm like, oh, here's an Aussie guy. Oh, he looks a bit about my age and playing an acoustic guitar and playing some music. So I'm like, I'm gonna check out his tunes. And then I started really digging and going back through the stuff you're releasing and then you're putting out there and thinking, this is some really good stuff. And if you do want to check out Clinton's stuff, by the way, there are links down in the description. So make sure you jump down there and check out what Clinton is laying down there. So I know that a lot of folks here that are on this channel like to know the nuts and bolts of what you're doing and how you're creating it, and are probably in a similar situation where they're either getting into music for the first time or getting back into recording and creating and writing and doing all of this fun stuff. So what is the gear stuff? Let's nerd out for a minute. What's the gear and how important is the gear that you have to creating your music?
Okay, so the first thing I can think of is what I'm assuming a lot of people that are on that probably tune into this are maybe just solo people. Like, they could be, what's your main element, if you're a keyboard player or guitar player or drummer or whatever. I know there's many guys that play multiple instruments, but even if you just got one primary instrument, I'd focus on it and just write songs around that, whether it's a guitar or, I mean, pretty much acoustic. So many songs just been written off that or piano, and I'd focus on that. And with technology today, just start recording yourself on your phone, just on the little voice memos or stuff like. Just get a feel for getting your ideas out there. One thing I can say is I've just got such a huge back catalogue from like so many years that I haven't even got round to recording, and I just need to do it. And part of my journey and my mission is just to get these songs that are 20, 25 years old recorded. And so if you're young or even old, if you've got the energy, just do it. Don't worry about sucking at it. Don't worry about not knowing what you're doing so much. Just get it out there and then improve from there.
And that's such good advice. And you know, folks that know me and know this channel know that that's the advice that I give as well, which is, you know, everyone starts at zero, and if you don't know where to start, just start recording. I think one of the things we were chatting about in the pre-show that not many people talk about, and I wanted to pick your brain on this for a moment, is you're very big on your preparation, on warming up, on practicing, on getting to know your instrument and getting to know what you're actually doing. And I think a lot of people rush into it. They'll be like, got an idea, hit record and just start playing, which is good to get the idea down. But what are some of the things, or what's some of your advice as someone who is making a living as a musician? What are some of the things that you think you need to do to actually make sure you're prepared and that you're doing your best that you possibly can with your music?
Well, I would put playing live and studio and writing. So I put it all, anything to do with music, I put it all in the one sort of basket, because we've got so much other stuff going on in life. Like, I'm a dad, I've got to run kids to school and all that stuff, and I've got to keep housework, and we've got other interests apart from music. So make the most of your time, and that's what's helped me. I put a lot of time into it, but I also try and stay focused on my time. So when I'm in this little room I'm in at the moment, which you probably can't see well, but this is a lounge room, a family lounge room, and when I get my time, I make sure that, okay, if I want to record something, it might be, okay, tonight or this hour is focused on just getting some I've got the song ready to go. I just need to focus on the rhythm section. So let's, I actually use Easy Drummer for a lot of my stuff, and I've found that I can get pretty good results just by using that. I would love to have a drum, and I've done stuff with drummers, but for me now, just getting the ideas out, I just use that. So I would spend a bit of time with that, and just tick that off, and like, great, and then go away. Don't worry about it. Come back, then look at it again. The next day. Try to do little dribs and drabs. I wouldn't try and do everything in one hit. And as far as your instrument goes, if you know that you're coming in, even when I've had people coming in here to do some, like when I've recorded them, I try to get them relaxed and say, look, make sure you prepare yourself. Make sure that you're up, drink some water, feel good. Like, I'm not all this one about, make sure you have no coffee or no, just feel good. Just feel good, be up and about, come in relaxed, and just get in the mindset that you're gonna get something done that's really good. There's times that it won't happen, but that, for me, that's what's worked for me. But I'm on my own, and I'm assuming a lot of people, these are on their own. When you've got somebody pushing you, you've got somebody like going, nah, time's up, or like we tend to overdo it, don't we? We tend to, when you're on your own, you're like, oh, that's not good. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Like, just get it out there and do it, because
absolutely,
no, I'm not waffling on.
No, it's such a good point, because and I wanted to reiterate it, because I think especially for solo artists, and I know a lot of folks are in their caves, or in their audio caves, and they're doing their thing. And because we've got infinite tracks, we've got digital media, and we've got infinite time, or what feels like infinite time, it can be really easy to just keep beating that dead horse. And once you're at that point where sometimes you just got to let it go, and you got to say, okay, that's as good as that's going to get. Now let's move on to something else, because you're going to get frustrated. And the best way is to keep, like you say, play live, record your own stuff, really record your own music, and then keep rinsing and repeating that, because you're going to get better the more you do it.
That's right. Well, there's heaps of tutorials out on the net. Like, you can there's heaps of tutorials. We've all watched them about people saying step one, and they'll talk you through the gear and all that stuff. But really, at the end of the day, I just think, if you're organized, semi-organized in yourself, and you've got a bit of a plan, just have your plan. Don't worry about what else it is. Just try the best you can to get that plan in, and keep it realistic. That's all I'd say.
No, beautiful. And it's what I call positive time pressure. Give yourself an end date, and then just say, it's going to be done by then. And then
we'll fall victim to it.
It's amazing how you can just get stuff done if you just know when you have to do it, don't you?
I still go back and dig out old tracks. I might play around with this plug-in on this vocal now. Like let that go. Just
let it go for sure. So there are some folks here watching here live. We are live here on YouTube. If you're watching live and you've got any questions for Clinton, make sure you throw those in the chat, and we'll send him some big curveballs, some really tough ones.
Cool.
Make sure you
give it to me.
If you are watching on the replay, which many of you will, drop a comment down below. Myself and Clinton, I'm sure, will be down there after the show and in the next couple of days, checking out anything that you've got to say or any questions you have. Speaking of questions, I happen to know, and I've watched some of your stuff, that looping is part of what you do. And I know looping seems like this really big, mysterious thing to a lot of people. They think it's this amazing thing that you need thousands of dollars worth of technology and 20 years experience. Do you want to demystify looping for us and tell us what that's all about?
Yep. Looping is when you haven't got a band and you need to just sound a little bit bigger than one person. So in a nutshell, that's what I got into looping. And I can do gigs without looping too. So don't be hung up. I get a lot of crap from people saying, oh, he's hiding behind this loop. Oh, we just want to hear. And sometimes I get it. So I'm really conscious of not overdoing it, but I do like being creative with a looper. So it's not, what was your question again? It was like, what's the big mysterious thing about it?
I guess if someone wants to get into that, so someone's a solo performer and they want to start looping, do they literally go out and buy a looping pedal and then just practice? Or what's the deal?
No, decide what you want to do. If you just want to do like some little, just simple, do a guitar thing, and you just want to have that playback, then there's some great loopers like the TC, Ditto, and the Boss RC. Like, there's lots of little ones that are great. They'll do the job beautifully. I'd say if you do feel like you're going to be a little bit more than that, then get the Boss RC30, which gives you a little bit more control to stop and start, because I think that's the challenge, that people try to get the coordination between it. But if you're really extra fair income about it, and go get yourself a Boss RC300, which I did, and I got that early on when they first come out, and that is a magnificent. It was not perfect, and I hope Boss just stumble on this video again, because they made it almost so close, but then they just left some. Yeah, so I've been sending some. We've had a few discussions with some of the tech guys there, and I'm hoping they take some of my suggestions on board about that. But it's a great tool. Great tool.
Excellent. So there you go. There's some good recommendations if you're looking to get into looping. And once again, feel free to start simple, because on your iPhone and your iPad, there's some looping apps. So you want to try your hand at it, you can do it almost for free or for a couple of bucks to buy an app, and then just plug in your interface and start looping, or start trying it out before you've even bought any other hardware. Now, again, we're talking about making a living from music. And I know that a lot of people, the dream of a lot of us weekend warriors and a lot of people that are getting back into music is, wouldn't it be great if I could quit my day job and then just do music full time? Because all you do is drink beer and then just go out and play.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Want to give us a little bit of a taste of the reality of a working musician and what it's actually like?
It's very hard work. There's no, and that look, that's what it comes down to. You've got to work hard, and if you're lazy, you won't succeed. Simple as that. Like, I'm in Tasmania here, so if people live in Tassie, they'll know. But if you don't live in Tassie, you'll probably think, oh, it's just easy. It's just a little island. You can drive. It's actually takes a lot of driving to get to and around the place, and it's amazing. It's becoming a destination now it has been for a number of years so I do a lot of functions. So I'm not a guy that you'll just see in the pub Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then, he's back on Wednesday. Like, that's not me. I'm not that guy, and I really admire them guys that do that, but that's not me, because that's while it is fun, it's unsustainable to make well, you can make a living out of it, but it becomes very hard, because you're putting yourself in a small basket to a limited crowd. There are some places in the bigger cities that have revolving crowds and all that, and you can do a little bit of it. But to me, you got to travel, and you've got to be prepared to take some risks on your gigs. So I do a lot of private functions, try and get on festivals and stuff like that. The other thing as well is I've got other little supplementary income. So you've got to try and find a way. I just made a decision that I wanted to, it didn't matter what it was. Like, I just wasn't relying on playing live to get some income. I started doing a lot of guitar tutoring, and that's become a really good thing for me. And then that's went on to mentoring into some schools and taking some groups and working with, in some colleges, which has been great. Writing jingles. I've done a few jingles for radio jingles and bits and pieces like that as well. Cool. So, and recording other people's music and becoming like a producer. I'm only very small, but I'm learning quickly, and I'm getting to know how it all works. And that is a really good way of, you just never know, like, what song you could get that could go well, and work with whoever it is. If you're just learning how to record, then work with a singer or somebody, a local musician. Just record some stuff and upload it onto a site and see how it goes.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I'm very glad you mentioned that, because that was my next question. So you jumped in there, and I was going to ask, what are the other things you do that, because having diversification and having different things to do is often a good thing to have, especially when you're self-employed in any sort of field, even music, to doing different things. And I think it's good advice for folks that are, even if you're just doing this as a hobby, if you're worried about just sort of doing one thing and getting bored and getting into a rut, exactly that same sort of thing. Reach out, talk to other people. There's heaps of online forums and groups. You can collaborate. You can do all sorts of things.
And variety too. So for those that don't know, like, I've done band gigs, and I do band gigs when we'll focus on, just playing all the usual cover stuff. And then there'll be nights where I just focus on my original stuff, and I only play original. That's important to me. And the other thing is, just even when you're playing a wedding, like, I will do weddings, and people are starting to want to hear my songs, that will know, hey, can you play that song that you released the other month? And I'll play that. So it's all about finding a way to get your own music in there, finding a way to get gigs that suit you. I'm definitely not one for just doing a gig for the sake of doing a gig. So you got to do your time, but sometimes that can be more harmful than just overdoing it. So really choose wisely. and travel. So I do get over the mainland. So if anybody, and it's taken me to America, this job as well. So, you know, it's cool.
Well, there you go. As we're talking, when you're in Adelaide, yes, I'll definitely come and see you play live and buy you a beer. Let's talk recording for a minute here, because obviously my channel is a lot about recording, and especially home recording. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey there, the sort of the software you use, any of the sort of hardware you use, and sort of the experience that you've had, and what you could pass on to folks about recording yourself or other people in a studio or home studio environment?
Yep. So I haven't been recording long at all. Only the last, like seriously, the last 4 years I've really got into it.
Yep.
But like 5 years ago, I had no idea, like literally no idea what was the plugin. What is that? I had just had no idea. I had to learn. I had a really good mate of mine here in Tassie that recorded some of my stuff that I did with other bands and a duo I was in, and he really helped me out, gave me some great insights and motivated me, because he was extremely talented as well, and he is still. But kind of just he fueled that fire in me to like go and do it yourself. Like, don't rely on other people, because I used to think I had to go to a studio to get it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of spurred me on to think, you know what, I can do it. We've got a computer and I've got a cheap laptop, and I just had some cheap software from 2008 or 9 Nuendo that he ripped and gave to me, and I just started making music from there. And I just learned, picked it up, and went. I've got this mic. I don't even know if you can see it. It's like my first mic, this AKG Perception.
Yep.
It cost, $300 or whatever. I just got it. I only own 2 mics. As far as 2 condensers, I've got a couple of small condensers, and just try and pick up little bits of gear, start, and no excuses. Don't let the gear be stopping you from making music. That's one thing I learned pretty quickly, because I used to think, I'm getting ordinary sound. Is it my room or what's going on? And it took me a little while to get my head around, to think, well, hang on. No, you can't blame the gear or the room. There's always a reason why it's, so I don't know. That's
Love that. No,
it.
that's perfect. And again, folks that watch this channel are nodding their heads in agreement, because they know that that's something that I preach a lot. Not only because we don't have much gear starting out, but I think a lot of people put it the wrong way around. They think if I get the good gear, my music will sound good. It's the other way around. You got to have good music, and I've always said you can have a crappy song in $1 million studio, it's still going to be a crappy song. You have a great song, and you got a $100 microphone and your iPhone, then you still got a great song, and you're going to be able to record it in a way that's going to work for you. So yes, 100% agree. Don't let the gear get in the way. All right, we're rapidly approaching the end. I know how time flies when you're having fun and talking about music. So one of the things I like to ask people, you've been doing music for a long time now, and what would you say, and this is going to be a tough one, but what would you say is the proudest moment you've had in creating or recording or playing music over your music career so far? Like, no pressure, but just sum up the last 20 plus years in one sentence, if you could.
Look, it's a no-brainer, this one. It's just having the courage to get out and play, pick up a guitar. But probably for me, just singing. That was the biggest thing. I always thought I was a crap singer, and even now we still battle ourselves. But to me, just doing with what you got, but still always trying to improve. So I'm really proud of the fact that some people say, "Oh man, you're so gifted or you're so talented," but I worked hard on it, and I'm proud that I stuck at like things like singing and really taking the time to get better at that, and better at guitar playing, and better at songwriting. So I'm really proud of that, and just having a go is that's my most proudest thing. And I can easily, if this was taken away from me, I'm very comfortable and happy to think that I tried it and did it, made a lot of people happy. And so that's it for me.
Love it. It's simple, but it's super effective. And the reason I love that is that everyone's proudest moment is different, and everyone interprets that in a different way, which is great. And it's always good and hopefully inspiring for folks. I'm going to throw in an extra one here, because you and I are both family men. We both have families and commitments and other things that we have to do. We were talking about, running the kids around and doing all that sort of stuff. How do you balance that? Do you have any time management tips? Because I get a lot of people come to me and say, Pete, I'd love to do music, but I just don't have the time because I got netball practice, I got gymnastics on Tuesday, we got swimming on Wednesday. Where do you get the time? How do you manage that?
Well, I would, here's a bit of a plug for a woman called Mel Robbins. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's just Mel Robbins. Type her in. She just cuts through all the crap and all that. Like, you actually, if you want to do something, you got to do it, and you got to not make excuses. If that means getting up, setting the alarm half an hour earlier than what you normally would to do it, like, everyone's busy. Like, so we're all busy, and it's just the fact that, like, it's a fact of life now in this modern age that we've got, for partners both work, we've all got kids and we're doing that, but we can still find a way of doing it. And I just say, try and be healthy and be active, and you'll actually be motivated to do stuff. And just don't have any excuses. Like, just get in. And you know what? If you do have a bit of a spell from stuff, that's okay too. Like, but as far as I'm concerned, I always make sure that I don't just go music, because then it becomes a chore. I play sports and as well, and I like what the kids doing. And me and the wife often we do a lot of walking and stuff like that when I know I could be recording that. And so it is a balance, but I think it's a good trade-off there.
That is excellent.
Did I answer it?
No, you did. You totally did.
Did I? I don't know.
No, that was perfect because, there's a lot of ways that you can approach that, but I think you're 100% right, which is that, like, if you want to do something badly enough, you'll find a way to do it. And, I've talked in the past about, I've sacrificed a few things. I watch about a quarter as much TV as I used to do. I don't play video games anymore because they were the things I was doing that was taking up the time that I then went, hey, do I want to do this or do I want to record music? And I wasn't going to give up the family time, and I wasn't going to give up the other things that I love, like my sport and my activities. So what are you going to do? Where are you going to make that? And again, get up. Like, people,
and don't blame others. Like, just don't blame others for not getting gigs or not. There's a reason why nobody's not listening to or whatever. Just don't blame politicians. There's nobody in this stopping me from doing what I'm doing. So as soon as you get that, it doesn't matter. Like, just go for it.
And I love that, because I often say we live in the future, and the beautiful part is that you don't need permission from anyone to do basically anything these days, especially when it comes to music. You don't need a record company, you don't need a studio, you don't need to pay anyone, you don't need anyone to do anything. If you want to make your music in your space and release it to the world as you have done, then you can do it, and no one's going to actually stop you doing it. So I love that. The last question that I like to ask folks is, and you've kind of covered this in about 4 of your answers anyway, but I'm going to still ask it anyway. What's the one piece of advice that you would pass on to someone who's either just getting into creating music or getting back into creating music after a long time? What do you think is the advice that you'd pass on to someone?
God, it's hard enough to do it yourself, let alone tell others what to do. So that's probably the advice. Look, you know what? I just say with everything, just have fun. There's a reason for music. Don't go into it to make heaps of money or to do it for a living. Like, I stumbled into it and I realized it could happen. So just have fun with whatever you're doing. Don't let it, if it becomes too much of a chore, then it's not for you. Like, don't make it be chore. But if you're starting up again and you really want to get back into it, ask yourself the reasons what you want to do. Do you want to start playing live? Then just go look up some little open mic nights and start playing live, or start jamming connecting with some friends that do it. If you want to get into recording, but you've got no idea, well, look up some tutorials and just start with the basic, turn your phone on and recording yourself. So just let it go from there. That's the only thing I can think of. It's all at our fingertips now. It's amazing when you think back 20 years, 25 years ago, I would have killed for this stuff that we've got now. When I was younger and you actually did have the time, like, it's a golden age to be young, but
it is. I was saying that just today. I was talking to my brother-in-law and saying that, why is it that when I was a teenager and I had limitless time, I had no money and no gear and no technology, and now I got all of that. Well, not all of that, but I got some of that, and I got no time. Like, it's
what about trying to learn a song? I can just remember, like, trying to learn Joe Satriani's. I'm like, I haven't got the tab. I can't learn it. Like, and now YouTube and somebody's showing you how to do it. So the point is, somebody's already done it, haven't they? Anything, and just type it in, what's this? It's already been done.
Exactly. Just go to studiolivetoday.com and you search how do I, and then it pops straight up. Speaking of places that people can go online, where can people go to check out what is going on with you on the internet with you and your music?
The internet. Okay. Well, I have a shocking YouTube following, which I don't really care about anyhow. So I've got heaps of videos on there.
Nice.
Lots of little, just weird and wonderful things. So look,
Very cool
YouTube's
stuff.
always a good start. My Facebook page is I'm a bit of a I'm serious about having a good time. So you don't get anything too serious on Facebook with me. A lot of it's where I'm playing, and sometimes I'll, but the key thing is I do the Instagram, the Facebook, and YouTube sort of stuff like everyone does, and a little bit of Twitter, but I don't have them all synced up.
Yep.
I don't want to. So if you follow me on YouTube or on Facebook, it's not going to be the same thing that goes to.
That's
so
good.
I try to mix them up and keep it interesting that way. And of course, I do all the Apple Music and what's it called, Spotify as well. So just type in Clinton Hutton, and I'm pretty sure it's even me and I think he's some Jamaican guy that goes by the name Clinton Hutton or something, which is really odd. But I'm pretty easy to find. So Clinton Hutton Music. So
yes,
let me know.
Love it. It is good considering we're Clinton Hutton and Pete Johns. I think you're the only Clinton Hutton when I search you, and I'm the only Pete Johns. So go figure. We got very common names, but you can still find. Thank you to all the folks who have been here live. We had we didn't have any questions that came in during the show, but we did have a bunch of people watching. We had Damo, Nicole, RJ, Lovely, Clinton, Welky, another Clinton was here, Derek Smith, Evelyn, Amy Pegg was saying you're an absolute legend to be produced by and such a talented musician. So
Amy,
but well done with that. And Home of Crap, one of my favorite names for a channel, there you go, is saying hello. So hello to the folks that are here live. And if you are watching the replay, and if you did miss out, you didn't miss out at all. So I hope you got some value out of this. Hit the like button. That just tells us that we want to do more of these interviews in the future. Jump down and leave your comments and questions for Clinton if you want to know more about live performing, being a working musician, looping, whatever it is. Drop your comments down there, and I'll make sure that Clinton and myself come back and answer all of your questions. Any parting words for the fine Studio Live Today community here, Clinton?
Just make music and be happy. Be good people. Don't be trolls or bad people. There you go. That's what I say. Be nice.
There's your soundbite. There you go. Thank you, folks. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.